Hey everybody, great to be learning with you today as we begin our studies of Masechet Brachot and take a look at the first Mishna in Perek Aleph, which focuses on some of the laws of evening Shema. First, let's take a look at some important vocabulary that you'll need to know both for this Mishnah and beyond it. The first term that I want you to know is truma, which refers to special food eaten by the Kohanim each night. The Kohanim were not farmers. They were busy working in the Beit HaMikdash, and so in order for them to have something to eat, they were given food by the other members of Bnei Yisrael who were farmers and were producing their own food as a special gift. So this food was eaten every night after the Kohanim finished their service in the Beit HaMikdash, and they would eat this special food, the truma, at a period of time known as Tzeit HaKochavim, which is the time at which 3 stars appear in the sky. We'll get to that in just a moment. The second term that I want you to know is Ashmura. Ashmura literally means a period, and it refers to a period of the night. The night is roughly 12 hours long, from the time that those 3 stars appear until the time that the sun rises. Those 12 hours are broken into 3 different periods called Ashmurot. There's the first Ashmura, there's a second Ashmura, and a third Ashmura. Well, if there's 12 hours and 3 Ashmurot, each Ashmura lasts, you guessed it, about 4 hours. And so when the Mishnah refers to an Ashmura, it's talking about a period of 4 hours. The first Ashmura is 4 hours after 3 stars appear. The second Ashmura is 8 hours after the 3 stars appear. And the third Ashmura is about 12 hours after those 3 stars appear. Chatzot is the third term, that's midnight, and I call that halachic midnight because normally when you say midnight, people think 12 a.m. That's not necessarily always the case when we talk about these times in terms of marking different points of the night in halacha. And so when we refer to Chatzot, we're referring to midnight, which is roughly 12 a.m., but not necessarily. It is, however, 8 hours after the time that 3 stars appear. And finally, there's Amud HaShachar, which is when the first rays of light appear in the horizon. This is before dawn. So if you've ever been up really early in the morning before sunrise, you'll notice that the sky, even though it's still black, has little streaks of light, reddish, pinkish streaks that dot the entire horizon. That is called Amud HaShachar, the first rays of light, and that occurs at the very end of the nighttime cycle, about 12 hours after 3 stars had appeared that evening. So the Mishnah begins with the following question: Me'ematai Korin et Shema be'arvit. The Mishnah's question is, when is the earliest time to say evening Shema? Here, no one disagrees about when that earliest time is. They all agree and say, Mish'a sha'kohanim nechnasim lachol b'trumatan. When the Kohanim go out to eat truma after a long day's work, at the time when 3 stars appear in the sky, that is when you are able to begin saying evening Shema. The deadline for saying Shema, however, is something that people discuss and debate, starting with Rabbi Eliezer. Rabbi Eliezer says that the deadline for saying evening Shema is Sof Ha'ashmura Harishona, at the end of the first Ashmura, which, as we said, is approximately 4 hours from the time that the 3 stars appear in the sky. There's another opinion, and that's the Chachamim. The Chachamim say, Ad Chatzot, your deadline is until the end of the second Ashmura, which is roughly 8 hours after the 3 stars appear in the sky. So Chachamim give you more time than Rabbi Eliezer. And the final opinion is Rabban Gamliel, who says, Ad shi'aleh amud hashachar. He gives you the most time to say evening Shema. You have basically the entire night until the end of the third Ashmura, when the first rays of light begin to appear in the sky, and that is roughly 12 hours after those stars first appeared the night before. So when you look at our Mishnah, there are 3 different opinions about when the ending time for evening Shema occurs. Is it the end of the first Ashmura? That's Rabbi Eliezer. Or is it the end of the second Ashmura, Chatzot? That's Chachamim. Or is it when the first rays of light appear, Amud HaShachar? That's Rabban Gamliel. So the Mishnah presents 3 views here of the latest time to say Shema: Rabbi Eliezer, Chachamim, and Rabban Gamliel. And while everyone agrees on the earliest time to say Shema, not everyone agrees about the latest time to say Shema, and that is something that we'll have to discuss together in class when we return.